Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. I am Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm very happy that you've decided to join me. If you're catching us live, I'd love it if you'd say hi. Hopefully we can chat a little back and forth while we're going. But if you've joined me for the replay, I am equally happy that you're around, so please drop a comment and say hi. I'd love to know who stopped by, and if you have any questions, go ahead and drop a comment in the comments, and I will get notifications and I'll answer that as soon as I can. So tonight I have for you this super fun, super bright little birdie tree card. This is actually from a stamp set called Happy Hedgehogs, and there's no hedgehogs on this card at all. So you don't always have to use the main image on a stamp set. And I will tell you, I have fallen in love with this tree. So you'll probably be seeing a lot more of it. There was a couple of things I wanted to say. First of all, hey, Penny, so glad you're here. First of all, I want to apologize if you can hear the dogs barking. I am riding solo tonight. The Stamper Man is not home right now, and the dogs are barking at every leaf and, fuzzball that blows down the street. So you may be able to hear them. You may not. They're driving me crazy. But as soon as I'm done, I'll go upstairs. They'll calm down. They'll snuggle in next to me. So all will be good. And I would bring them down here, but the problem is a lot of times they hear something upstairs and they go crazy. That would be really loud down here in the studio. So it's best that they're upstairs. Okay, so apologize for my dogs who are cute but annoying. As always, I have linked the supply list and cardstock measurements in the video description, so you can just click that link anytime you want to be reminded of what we're using or reminded of what measurements I said. All of that is there for you. Yes, Penny, they are guarding me well. I will say, I don't think anybody's going to come in. So I am locked up tight, so we're all good. Plus, I think the neighborhood watch around here is pretty darn good too. Everybody knows everybody, so we're good. All right. So yes, supply lists and everything is in the video description, so you're good there. I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera down. We'll keep chatting as we're crafting, as always, so you can see what's going on. First, let's start with what we are working with. I will be actually concentrating on simple stamping cards again this week. Hello, Stamper Man. So not here in person, but here virtually. I like that. So we will start with our Happy Hedgehog stamp set. So we've got a couple of hedgehogs in here. I do like that they made these so they're facing different directions, so you don't have to go through any contortions or anything special to try to get them to go nose to nose. So if you did want to make like a cute little couples card or something, those hedgies are perfect for that. I also noticed when I was stamping this one on Friday night that this mushroom would go really well with my mushroom in my Storybook Gnomes, in the Kindest Gnomes set. So I may be pulling that out and incorporating that in a Gnomes card soon. And I also wanted to point out real quick that the Stamper Man and I tied for votes on Friday night, but his cousin actually voted for mine kind of too late this morning. So I'm claiming maybe a contested victory. So, but what I'm concentrating on tonight is this beautiful tree that I love and this little birdie. I actually did stamp out when I was trying to make this card. I stamped this hedgehog twice and colored him in two different color combinations, one of which looked like Iron Man. It's really hilarious. It's a little too golden red. But anyway, I decided after I started putting everything together that he was just too busy. So there you go. After the deadline doesn't count. So I agree. So, but we all know. No, we tied. It's fine. Hello, Lucia. Oh, I have. Okay, I've got to type into Lucia because she does not have sound going. So she's getting her hairs done. Okay. So actually, Lucia is one of my demonstrator friends. She is down in Melbourne, Australia. And so I actually just watched her live from earlier today, or I don't know, yes, whatever time it was hours ago. I just watched that while I was having dinner. So, and gorgeous cards she made as well. So we're using this stamp set. Wow, did I get sidetracked there, guys? Sorry. Okay. We are only using one ink pad tonight. That is our Memento Tuxedo Black because we are using the blends to color. So we have a lot of blends going on. Let's see here. We have Polished Pink, Pool Party, Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, and Shaded Spruce. Obviously, if you wanted to recreate this, you could recreate it with a lot fewer blends. You just have to mix up your colors a little bit. And I did do a little bit of a cheat because this designer paper has crushed curry in it. I don't have the crushed curry blends. So we're using Daffodil Delight instead. And it's going to look just fine. So you go ahead and cheat if you need to. As you can see, we are using dimensionals. And then our cardstock. So we started off with a Pool Party base, and that is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, right? Wow, I just had just a brain fog there, and scored at 4.25. This is why it's good that I always put all that information in the link in the video description. So if I ever say the wrong thing, you could just double check me. Then we've got a layer of polished pink, and this is 5.25 by 4. We've got a layer of basic white. This one is 4.25 by 3.25. And then we've got 3 little strips of fun designer paper. This is from the Celebrate Everything designer paper pack. We've got that little stripe and the polka dot and the little, I don't know, green checks. These are each 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch. And I'm also going to need to go grab one of the inside pieces because we need a white inside. That'll be 5.25 by 4 as well. So I do want to show you. I also put in the supply list, as always, I put like your trimmer, your chamois, your bone folder. Those are things that pretty much all paper crafters need. You can decide at which point, like, you want to add a bone folder. Maybe you're going to use baby wipes for a while to clean your stamps, and you'll get the chamois down the line. Pretty much everybody needs a trimmer. So if you don't have one, ours is one of the best ones I've ever used. I love, love, love it. So if you don't have one, I highly recommend ours. If you do have one, maybe you can get by for a little bit, because I know all those cute stamp images and all that pretty paper and all those cool blends, they just call to you, and it's hard to buy the essentials when you want to buy all the cute stuff. So if you're ever in that dilemma, let me know, and I will help you put together something that works for you. But the Celebrate Everything paper pack is our host pack. It's available with host rewards in our mini catalog. It is a pack of 48 sheets of 12 by 12 paper, and there's 4 each of 12 different designs. So I'm going to show you all of them right here. I just pulled one of each out so you could see. But don't run when you hear that host word. All that means is you have to put in a qualifying order, whether it's a personal order of $150 or it's a group of orders you just got together from your friends, $150 or more. Then you qualify for host rewards, or Stampin' Rewards, as we call them. And you can spend some of that on the host offerings. So this is our Celebrate Everything paper pack. As you can see, this one's very Christmassy with our holly berries and Christmas crackers and whatnot. And on the other side, we have pink snowflakes, which is super, super fun. I always like going to a different color combo for the holidays sometimes. It's just kind of nice. Then we've got just some fun little, these could be waves, these could be clouds, they could be stripes. They kind of remind me of the wallpaper in Andy's room in Toy Story. Don't they, a little bit? I don't know. Something about it reminds me of Toy Story. And on the other side, we have just black and white, kind of look like fireworks, right? So they really do mean celebrate everything. So these, you could take your blending brushes to and add some color. You could take your Stampin' Blends. You could spritz them with a color, all sorts of different options, or you could leave them black and white and add color in other ways. So then we have black and white evergreen trees, which is kind of funny. So I guess they're ever black trees here. But again, same thing. You can use your blends. You can use your blending brushes. You can use spritzers. You can use ink direct to the paper. All sorts of different ways you can add color to that. And then you've got a bright green, just geometric stripe on the other side. We've got some fun Christmas ornaments. Again, all different fun colors. This kind of looks a little Dr. Seussy to me, which I love. So that's super fun. And then look at that, just little bows on the bright red background. So that's good. We've got a black paper with a field of gold stars. The other side is a great little yellow check. So that's another thing I love about our designer paper packs. Most of the time, if you don't like the design on one side, flip it over. You can use the other side. So they use a lot of just kind of plain geometric. Oh, I'm very sorry about the, there, get that closer and it's not so wigging out on camera, but it's a nice, one of those uneven kind of checks, that bright blue, really pretty. And then we've got a black and white wood grain. So again, you can add color any way you want to that or leave it black and white. Black and white. We've got some Halloween theme here, just white ghost pumpkins, got your stars, and there's that pretty stripe that we're using tonight. This one reminds me of like the pool, like one of those sling back chairs, kicking back on the pool. I like that. Another nice geometric pattern. Let me get that up close. So you've got a couple of different shades of green. Really like that, pretty pattern. And then a nice zigzaggy in blue. This one will look familiar to my video viewers because that was the fall leaves I paired with the squirrel. And so we all know on the back is that pretty bright green background that we are also using tonight in one of our strips. Now we've got our colored fireworks. Love that on a nice black night sky. And then red triangles. So again, you could totally use that at Christmas time. Let me get that a little closer again. You could totally use this at Christmas time, but you could totally use it for a birthday in the middle of July, you know, whatever. You could use it for Valentine's Day. Oh, stripes. This reminds me of fruit stripe gum, and I just want zebra stamps because that's totally what it is. And then pretty green squiggles. Just love this paper. And a really bold red stripe. And on the back of that is the polka spots we're using tonight, because that's how we say it in my house. So, and this is actually the piece of paper that I grabbed the colors from that I was using the blends for. So you've got that crushed curry that I substituted daffodil for. You've got shaded spruce there. You've got that granny apple green and the polished pink and the pool party. So all of those colors I grabbed from this piece of paper because I knew they would all go with the designer paper, right? One of the things I absolutely love. So if you're one of those people that's just starting out, or even if you've been stamping for a while and you're like, I always have trouble figuring out what colors go with what colors. Well, our designer series paper packs are perfect for that because they tell you what colors are in the pack, and the pack is designed to go together. So it's perfect. All that thought is done for you. It's wonderful. Love it. Okay, let's start with some assembly because y'all know, oops, let me go grab that piece of white real quick. Phew, last one too. It was probably one I had set aside and just didn't put it in the pile. So around the stamp studio, we actually keep a bunch of these pre-cut. So we'll take our basic white and we cut them down to the 5 1/4 by 4 inch insides, innards. So we have a stack of these going at any time, and we go through them pretty quickly. And then when we ever need something like this too, we'll cut it down from one of these and use the extra as little, you know, you have to stamp a little bird or something like that. So I am making a change to this card because, as you can tell, if I get close, I actually fussy cut that bird out because I fussy cut the hedgehog too when I was going to put them kind of facing each other. That didn't work out. So now when I looked at it, I thought, we certainly don't need to fussy cut that bird. I can stamp him right on the white. So, okay. So let's go ahead and attach our little strips. And I'm going to show you a little tip here. Let's move our grid paper over a little bit. So Stampin' Up's grid paper, get stuff out of the way. So I love our grid paper, and this is available for customers to buy as well. So if you need a good thing to protect your surface and you want to use all those cute little tips and tricks that I tell you in my videos, you too can get a pad of this grid paper and it'll last you a good long time. We wait until it's like covered with ink garbage until we toss them out and then grab a new one. So, but up one side of the short side, it goes from 0 to 10 inches. One side of the other goes from 0 to 16 inches, and it is metric on the other side. So if you do work in metric, you can use this as well. On the other two sides, they put a 0 in the middle, and it goes from 1 to 5, or from 0 to 5, or from 0 to 8. So you can find the middle of things. So I want to find the middle of my pink, my polished pink. So here's my 0. I'm going to go out 2 inches. Okay, about a half, little past 2.5 on each side, which makes sense because it's 5.5 or 5.25. Okay, so this is where I want to put my middle strip, right on that 0, right? So I can take my little polka dot strip. I'll put some adhesive on the back. So the Stampin' Seal works great for this. If you'd rather have some wiggle room, the liquid glue is perfect for that as well. You could use glue dots. We've got lots of different adhesives. So I'm just going to I really am going to kind of eyeball the middle of this strip. But that'll give me a good, you know, hey, that's right in the middle pretty much, and that's where I wanted it. So now I can just keep it along that same line there, and I'll take my strip for the bottom, a little bit of adhesive, and now I can go right on kind of that next line, and I can see that on both sides. So I'll have that same distance between those. And then I can take my top strip. We will put a little, adhesive on there. And that same thing, I'll just go to that next little hash mark, that next little grid line. And boom. So now they're perfectly spaced, just like I wanted. I did cut them just a tad longer, which is fine. Flip it over and give them, as my friend Jamie says, a little haircut. In Lucia's honor. Okay, so there we have our pink layer. I'm going to go ahead and attach that to my card front. Because as I say, get it out of my way, right? So any of the products that I show here tonight can be purchased in my online store. That link is also in the video description. So anytime you're curious and you want, you know, you're like, that darn tree, you sold me on it, you can find the Happy Hedgehog stamp set on my website. Okay, let's do the inside of the card real quick. And I actually decided to grab that cute little mushroom for the inside because I hadn't used it yet and it was super cute. I'm just going to put that on a block. Give that a little bit of ink. I did not bring my chamois over, so I'll have to remember to clean all that when I get done tonight, which I always do. Where's my good one? Just wanted to see what I did with that. Okay, so I used my Granny Apple and my Pool Party. I'm going to do a little bit of grass here, and I am not going to get fancy and whatever. I'm just going to fill in those little dots. And then we'll take our Pool Party, and I'm going to do the dark underneath here. And then the light. I am not getting fancy about shading with this guy. I just want to get some fun, cute color on him. We're going to go around those dots so that I don't blend the color, because if I go over them, I will blend. And I'm sure it would look fine, but that's not what I was going for. Right, there's our cute little mushroom. I do love him. If you have not used the blends before, they are alcohol markers, and they do kind of soak through your cardstock, so you will want to make sure you have something that's protecting your surface. So you're not going to, sit down at your like white kitchen table and ruin it. Please don't do that. Another reason for your grid paper, as you can see, I also have a self-healing mat under this. That just gives me some extra cushion as well, so I like that. Okay, so now for another fun little tip. In the supply list, I actually listed the acrylic blocks that we were using tonight as well. I keep forgetting to put them on the supply list, and then I realized, my gosh, what if you're new to Stampin' Up! And you don't have acrylic blocks already? You're going to need to know which sizes you need, right? So I put all of these on, and then I realized something. So here's a little trick for you. If you already know what you're doing and you're not kind of placing things, and I already know what I'm doing, obviously, since I'm copying a card, I'm going to go ahead and put my images down here, my stamps down. So I've got my tree, and I've got my greeting, so I can make sure that that is pretty straight. And the photopolymer ones are sticky on the bottom as well, on the image side. So you can kind of push them on the paper and they'll stay pretty still. Then we're going to take our bird and put him where we want, right about there. Now I'm going to take this big block, the letter E block, which I had because of the tree, because it's so big. And I'm actually going to pick up all of these stamps at once, because I'm inking them all with that black ink. So I can just do this all in one pass instead of putting them each on a separate block and inking them each up and stamping them each separately. So think about, like, for instance, the holidays are coming up and we're all going to be making Christmas cards. So if you have Christmas cards that you're deciding to do and they're all going to be using the same ink, maybe you're going to be doing some coloring or some embossing, and you're going to ink up several things in the same ink, see if you can do this same trick and pick them up with one block. Now, your cardstock is also porous, so it's really good to just hold that down there for about 5 seconds so that gives the ink a chance to seep into the cardstock. So now all I'm going to do, I'm going to pull that little mushroom off of there, because I did add some extra little bits of grass. So I will need an extra block, and obviously because I added 3 extra little tufts of grass on my card, I wasn't going to be able to do that in one go anyway. So I thought I'm going to do those separately, because then I can kind of see where I want them. And you can see I've put them in different places than I did Friday night, because a girl can change her mind, and so there for them. Oh, Penny, I'm glad you like that. I'm always glad when you guys pick up at least one tip while you're watching. And Penny has been stamping for quite a number of years. So she knows what she's doing. So I like it when you guys learn a little something new. All right, time to color. I'm actually really, really loving coloring, and I didn't used to love coloring. So that's kind of fun. Part of it is these blends, although I have been coloring with some of our watercolor pencils as well lately. But the blends certainly make you very artistic, I think. It's much easier. Put a little bit of our dark daffodil there, and then I'm just going to, oh, yes, my daffodil marker is fading, so I'm going to have to get some, I have to get another set of those. Or maybe I'll get the crushed curry so I have it. So I'm going to use the bullet tip instead because that one's still working. And I'm just going to go over that line so that it blends right in. You get that bit of a shadow and then it lightens up. So thank goodness I'm only using that for the bird. All right, and the top of my little birdie is going to be Pool Party. So once again, I'm going to take the dark, and I feel like his tail feathers would be a little darker. We're going to add a little bit of the dark to kind of his wing, a little bit around his throat. You certainly do not have to be an artist to use these. You don't have to go to these lengths to, outline whatever. I usually just follow whatever shading the artist that made the stamp put in. But you could just do one color and that's it, and not worry about both. I did forget his little beak, so let's add a little bit of yellow to his beak. Okay. Now for, I'm going to do the stem or the trunk of the tree. I didn't want to grab a brown because everything was really bright. So that's why I pulled out that shaded spruce so that it was a darker green than the rest of the leaves and the other little twigs and grass and stuff. You could certainly do all the same green. You could leave the trunk white. Whatever. It's your card. Do what you want. Then we'll grab our granny apple. I'm going to go dark granny apple first and just put some little bits on the ends of the leaves, kind of the base of the leaves. I'm kind of brave here doing this with this brush tip instead of the bullet tip because this is some detail work here. I'm going to grab the bullet tip though and go down these branches just to give them a little extra color, because just because you stamped them in black doesn't mean they have to stay that way. Just gives you another little level of artiste. Oops, don't forget the little flower in the bird's mouth. Okay, and then I'm also going to take my brush tip to these tufts of grass here. Oh, that's dark, isn't it? That's fine. That one will be darker than the rest. I wanted them to be lighter. Okay. And now I will take my light and I will pull that dark color up the leaf a bit. You could go over the veins in the leaves, which is what I usually do, but these leaves are so very tiny. I just figured it'd be nice to give them a little two-tone effect, but it's not going to make that much of a difference, to be honest. I could have just left them one shade and been just fine. I would imagine I will be the only one that really notices the shading in those. Oops, and I forgot one. There we go. All right, on to our polished pink. Oops. One more thing, a little bit of Daffodil Delight in the center of these flowers, because the ones that are open do have a little bit of a center to them, and that's just nice. Again, not that anyone else would probably even notice, so don't worry about it if you want to just paint them all the same color. So we're just going to go in. I'm just going to use the light one. Actually, I think On those little buds, I think I'm going to use the dark because I feel like the sunlight wouldn't be kind of shining through them as much, right? So they'd be a little darker, just like roses are when they're closed. They're a little bit darker. So we'll use the dark one on those buds. And there we go. Now this one is going to go up on dimensionals. Just give it that extra little pop. Take our backings off. And yes, I double check. Is that right side up? So now we have our pretty pink. We have our pretty colors peeking out from behind. Super simple layout that you could do over and over and over again. And the cool thing is, I actually got this layout from my newsletter. So I do a weekly email newsletter, and every one of them has a sketch in it so that you can copy something, from that. So I literally was trying to kind of figure out what I was doing Friday night, and I decided to pull up all my sketches, and I saw this one and I thought, that's it. That's the one I'm going to do. Then I just sized the white to be big enough for the tree plus a little bit. So you can mess with those kinds of things any way you want. So as always, I have a couple of alternatives for you. So we've got, bright pink, springy kind of card. Now we've got some deeper colors. I pulled in that Pool Party again, and we've got Blackberry and Old Olive. And this particular one I grabbed from Design a Daydream paper pack. So again, we've got a little sprig in the middle. I added some of those iridescent pearls that we got for free from World Card Making Day. Super pretty. I love the way the Pool Party bottle turned out. And then I've got a Christmas version as well for you. So this uses that cottage wreaths bundle. So these were just simple stamping, no punching. No, even though there is a bottle punch, I didn't bother. I just stamped it right on. This one I pulled out the die cut machine and I die cut my wreath and my bow. And again, these iridescent pearls, I actually colored 3 of them with our Stampin' Blends to match the blue on the back. And the others I just left the white iridescent. So there you go with your 3 different cards, same layout, so you can see how different they turn out. I always love that. So when you find a layout that you really like, don't be afraid to use it over and over and just switch up your stamp set, your colors, your embellishments. Maybe you die cut some, maybe you do simple stamping on another. It always works out just fine to do that. Nobody else knows, and Lord knows you're not sending all your cards to one person most likely, so probably nobody's going to notice anyway. Let me go ahead and switch the view here so we can have a little chat before we go. I did want to say a little bit, many of you might have seen my story on Facebook, and over the weekend we did a charity walk for suicide prevention. Thank you, Penny. I did really like the way they turned out. We did a little walk for suicide prevention to raise money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. That was in memory of my brother Dan, who I lost a little over 37 years ago to suicide. And today is Mental Health Day, so I thought I would just mention that, talk to you about, I hope you're taking care of yourself. Obviously, for my mental health, paper crafting is a big part of that. Spending time with my family is a big part of that. Music is a huge part of my mental health self-care. So I want to make sure that everybody is taking care of themselves. Feel free to reach out to me if you need to. I am a safe person to do that with. I'm a huge advocate of talking more about mental health awareness, mental health struggles, mental health in general. Because most of us struggle. And I know when my kids were little, I was diagnosed with depression and went through treatment for that. And after I came out of that, aw, thank you, sweetie. After I came out of that, I started talking to some people, just, kind of randomly as you feel people are safe. Maybe somebody mentions something. And I was astounded by how many of the people I knew in my daily life that had been on meds, were still on meds, whatever. It's so widespread and we don't talk about it. So we talk about flu vaccines, we talk about common colds, we talk about allergies. Let's talk about mental health. So that's my soapbox for today. And also I wanted to let people know, if you are local to Bloomington, Illinois, I am starting monthly classes again. My next one is the same class that is being offered on Wednesday the 19th and Thursday the 20th of October. So if you are interested in that, drop me a comment, send me an email, send up a smoke signal, however you want to reach me. And I would love to have you come join us for class. The last thing I want to tell you also is I did leave a link in the video description to my Facebook page. All this week, we will be continuing simple cards over on the Facebook page, which, as you could see from tonight, simple does not mean plain, does not mean bare. Simple means pretty too. So you can follow me over on Facebook if you don't already, and you will continue to see more ideas for simple stamping, and you can get in touch with me there as well. So that is all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me for another Make It Monday. And until next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.